In today's thrift store challenge, we will be headed off to Crate & Barrel to get some inspiration for fall, and then we are headed over to the thrift store to see what we can come up with for a whole lot less. With that being said, let's go ahead and get started. One of my favorite things that Crate & Barrel carries are their candle holders and their lighting. They make it just feel really overstated and dramatic and make a huge impact, but they can also be quite costly. So when I'm at the thrift store, that's kind of the same idea that I'm looking for. I think these floor candle holders, candelabras if you will, can make a huge impact and can almost function as art and lighting at the same time. So while at the Hartville thrift shop, I came across this floor candelabra that was just $6, and at the Goodwill, I found all of these copper pipes for just $2. So I decided to take the ones out of the bag that would fit a typical tapered candle holder, and I super glued those pieces down to the tops of these kind of fluted plates. While the patinaed copper color was definitely nice, the ones that Crate & Barrel carries are made of iron, so to get an iron-like look, I like to go in with a multi-textured spray paint that I had on hand and then finish it off with a matte black spray paint. So all together, this project cost me, because I had all of the other supplies, that I was able to create this look for under $10. As we are approaching the fall and winter months, one thing that I like to do to keep it really affordable and not completely transform my whole space is to just switch up some of the textiles. So one way I like to do that affordably is to go to the thrift store, because a faux fur pillow at Crate & Barrel will have you paying over 50 bucks. And $50 for a pillow you might have out year round isn't all that bad, but if it's just more of a seasonal accent, I do want to keep the cost low. So I found this faux fur pillow at the Hartville thrift shop for just $3, popped it in my washing machine and then let it dry flat. Unfortunately, you cannot put faux fur typically in your dryer because it just ruins the fabric overall. But I think for $3, this adds this kind of cozy element that I was seeing a lot of at Crate & Barrel, but was so cost effective because I thrifted it. Another way to incorporate this faux fur material into your space is through blankets. And Crate & Barrel had these beautiful double-sided fur blankets. Usually the ones I see at the thrift store have Sherpa on one side and this kind of faux fur on the other. So while shopping in the fabric section of the Hartville thrift shop, I came across these two identical sized faux fur pieces of fabric that were $5 each, so $10 total. And I wanted to make sure that the dimensions were gonna be okay to do a blanket. And it was just the perfect amount of fabric that I needed. The blankets at Crate & Barrel are 70 by 55 inches, which is a little bit oversized than your typical blanket size, but mine will actually even end up being a little bit bigger than that and only $10 like I mentioned. So to start, I put the good sides facing together, so your bad sides facing out, and I pinned 3.5 sides, leaving a little opening at the top and just removing all of the excess fabric that I wouldn't need for the blanket. After removing the excess, my blanket will shake out to be about 72 by 56 inches big, and I just buzzed all of the pin sides through the sewing machine, and then I flipped it right side out so I can then hand sew that remaining half side, and that really wrapped up this project. I think this gives a kind of luxe modern look to my living room space, but was so affordable. One thing I noticed last year that I had never noticed in years prior to is these high-end stores are starting to sell these fall-inspired faux trees. And with the exception of Christmas, I think spending $350 on a tree you're only gonna keep out for a couple of months seems a little bit excessive. And not even just the trees, but the planters and the pots themselves can also be quite costly. So I'm always looking for baskets or planters at the thrift store. I usually don't have the best luck with the big planters, but I do have really good luck with baskets. So I found this basket here at the Goodwill for just $10. Now I didn't love the plant that was inside of it, so I removed the existing plant and I separated the lid, then went to Home Goods and I found this 3.5-foot tree. And you could of course buy trees at the thrift store and do a similar kind of project, but like I said, the plant that I was looking for my entryway, I wanted to be quite small, and these were all just a little bit too big despite being a lot less expensive. So the first thing I needed to do was just remove the container that was holding the tree, and then using a serrated knife, I just trimmed it down so that way it would fit nicely into now my planter basket. If you guys happen to watch my Anthropology Dollar Tree dupes video, you might remember when I spray painted these leaves to be just a little bit more subdued and maroon-like in color. So I kind of just wanted to apply that same concept to this tree that I picked up from HomeGoods because I already had this spray paint. This was gonna be pretty cost effective. Whenever you're spray painting trees or leaves, it's really important to just continually change the orientation so that way you're getting the most coverage, as much as possible at least. Now, once we got close to the actual trunk, I had to tape it off because I knew that I was going to end up getting spray paint on the tree trunk, and I wasn't confident that I'd be able to remove it if I did. So like I said, I just kept changing the orientation, flipping it upside down, spray painting it, laying it flat again and spray painting it until all of the leaves were pretty well covered. I sealed the leaves with a matte clear sealer, and then once that dried, I brought it inside, placed it inside the basket, and added some Spanish moss to the top to finish it off. And this was the end result. I think that this is a nice way to use this basket for the fall months. Should I want to use it for something else in winter or spring, I definitely can. I still have the lid. I can use it for storage or whatever else may be. But for now, I'm really liking this fall-inspired look for my space. When it comes to the artwork at Crate & Barrel, it definitely leans a lot more modern, abstract, minimal, and you can definitely find pieces like that at the thrift store. For example, you guys might remember when I found this artwork piece from the Project 62 line at Target at the thrift store for just $5. And I really just wanted something that was just very monochromatic. So I started out with just taking some white chalk paint to it. And once that layer dried, I took it outside and I gave it one coat of shiplap spray paint by Magnolia Home, and then just removed the tape. So that way the frame was still wood, but I wanted the overall color to just feel really pared down because this is in my dining room and the opposing wall has a bunch of family pictures and it's kind of overpowering. So I wanted just something really simple on this wall, and I think it's the perfect fit. If you're not really familiar with the design style that Crate & Barrel carries, it's very modern in its shapes and its colors. It's a lot of high contrast, a lot of sharp, clean lines. So when I came across this space at the Goodwill, I immediately thought this was like a dead ringer for something that Crate & Barrel would sell for upwards around $50. But because I thrifted it, it was so affordable. So I just took some antiquing wax and I wanted it to just feel really clean and simple, monochromatic again. So I did this dark brown color, which I thought would be perfect for fall. I stuck some stems in here that I already had on hand, and I think it's just the right amount of punch for fall. It's not overpowering, it's not cheesy, it's just really clean, minimal, and beautiful. If you are somebody who hosts a lot during the holiday season, then Crate & Barrel might be a place that you go to kind of get all of your bar cart or credenza accessories. A staple in kind of bar cart accessories are decanters, and at Crate & Barrel they can be quite expensive, but at the thrift store you can find ones with the lids in perfect condition for just $5. I also had previously found this one that I shared with you guys, but it unfortunately did not have a topper, and I know that it doesn't necessarily have to, but in this specific case I wanted it to have a topper on it. So I found this ball here at the Goodwill for just about $3, and I think the union of them together gives a really high-end appearance, but because I thrifted it, was so budget friendly. Another accessory you might want to keep your eyes out for when you're out thrifting are ice buckets or coolers. So for example, I found this one for just $1. It was pretty scratched up, and the metal I have in that room is bronze. So I just gave it a couple coats of this metallic oil rubbed bronze spray paint and then filled it with some champagne and ice. And I think it's just a nice addition to the space, but was so cost effective. Another accessory you might consider adding are slate cheese boards, cutting boards, coasters, things like that that can add just a different texture to your space. So at Crate & Barrel, a set of 4 of these slate coasters will cost almost $15. So when I was out garage sailing, I actually found a slate cutting board as well as 8 coasters. She had initially tagged these for $8, but because it was her last day, she gave them to me half off. So $4 for this cheese board and 8 coasters I thought was a really fair price point and a nice addition to my credenza styling. At Crate & Barrel, if I were to buy the modern wall art, the modern vase, the cheese board, the coasters, the decanter, the ice bucket, this would be a small fortune. But with a little bit of thrifting and DIY, this came together so beautifully on a budget. Now, I know not everybody celebrates Halloween, and I know not everybody even decorates for Halloween, but I wanted to share it just in case you do. So when I was at Crate & Barrel, I think, again, they have these really just like high contrast, simple options. So we're gonna just do a little bit of styling using some thrifted things. They have this display here with a fireplace and some spooky houses and black candlesticks. So we're gonna just try to create something really simple using thrifted materials. So starting off with our little spooky houses. So a set of 3 of these on Crate & Barrel's website would cost about $100, and I spent just about $5 total on these 3 houses here. The one was already perfect black and perfect condition, and the other 2 I just decided to give a few coats of some matte black spray paint, sealed them, and brought them inside. Now, one thing I've really been loving on TikTok for Halloween specific decor is to take a cauldron, and you can either put ornaments to make it look like it's like bubbling over. I've also seen people put diffusers in here to give it this sort of smoky and spooky experience. So the cauldron that I have actually came from Home Goods, and it was $15. Just decided to spray paint that matte black as well. And I just did a combination of both with the thrifted ornaments and thrifted diffuser. And I think it doesn't need to cost a fortune to create a similar look to what I saw at Crate & Barrel. And this was my kids' favorite setup of the video. As for the winner of last week's giveaway, I'm gonna pop up the name here, so just make sure you're checking back on your comment. As for this week's giveaway, I found these bar cart accessory pieces, so if you are interested in receiving them, make sure you leave me a comment down below saying so. And that about wraps it up for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know down in the comments which project or find was your favorite, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now.